might be broken down, but I'm smiling. I keep my head up high, though I fail. Sometimes I get a bit emotional, but then I turn around and let it go. I see you watching me from a distance. I see you can't decide what to feel, but if you dig a little deeper, boy, you know you really wanna get to know me. Let's get this out of the way. I can't wait another day to tell you you shouldn't wait. Don't be so afraid. Yeah, I'm a bit too much, but I'm fun and games. When I'm acting tough, I just wanna play. If you are looking for one hell of a ride, just come and get it. Baby, I'm all yours. Come and get it, 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 come and get it. If you are looking for one hell of a ride, just come and get it. Baby, I'm all yours. Jump on my roller coaster and hold tight. It won't be easy, but it'll be fun. Sometimes it goes the whole way up and down. I think you're ready now to leave the ground. Get in the fast lane, baby, you can make it. I promise I'll be there all the way. And if you get a little broken down, all that you gotta do is keep your head high. Let's get this out of the way. I can't wait another day to tell you you shouldn't wait. Don't be so afraid. Yeah, I'm a bit too much, but I'm fun and games. When I'm acting tough, I just wanna.
London Invite 2023 Open Division pool action coming at you live and almost on fire. The clouds have rolled in, but it is still hot, hot, hot here on the pitches in Brentford or Osterley. We're close enough to Osterley Park, aren't we?
Kind of, yeah. We're nearby.
It's close enough. Myself, Hannah Pendlebury, alongside Sean Colfer, and we have, for your delectation and viewing pleasure, a matchup between Belgium Open and Germany Open. So, just get a bit of information about the toss. Do we know who's starting this game on offense?
The Belgians are starting on offense to our left as we look at the field now.
Excellent, excellent. So, we are, of course, early stages of the season. Still, we're not quite at the pinnacle moment. The Germans have a short roster of 16 athletes, but because we have some resting players, so too are the Belgians, Sean.
Yes, it sounds like we're going to see both teams with pretty similar numbers, definitely down on what we'll see them have at Limerick. The Belgians also dealing with a few injuries. Stoffan Bontemps is here on the sidelines, but won't be playing. I think it's a hamstring injury that he picked up at Windmill, and some people that watch the Windmill streams and follow Ref Yonkers on Instagram might know Ref looks to have picked up an injury, so he won't be playing at this tournament and potentially not at EUC either. So the Belgians have a few injuries and have not brought their full squad. Same situation with Germans, but I still think there's going to be enough excellent players on both rosters here that we can expect a very exciting game.
Indeed. Well, looking at the results of these matches so far, the Belgians have pretty much churned through all of their opposition thus far in this pool stage. 15-6, both of the teams that they've sort of defeated thus far have been, of course, the Barbarians RFC Super Happy Pickup Clapham and Ranelagh squad, and also the French Open, so Masters Open team. So 15-6 the scoreline in both those games, whereas the Germans haven't fared quite so easily.
No. So I spoke to Barbarians after they played Belgium, and they said they got battered. There's Clapham, Ranelagh, a few Reading boys. It's just a general pickup team of people kind of who are around and wanting to play. But the Barbarians played against Germany and beat them. I think it was 15-13. What they said was a game where they played brilliantly. I think the Barbarians turned over twice in that entire game. So they were very happy with their performance. Germany was the first game of the day. I suppose might have been still getting to grips with things. But then they came out against the French Open Masters, played pretty well, offense pretty reliable until near the end of the game. The French Open Masters were quite close to them by the end. But, you know, it was a good performance, and they are certainly coming into this with a bit more pep in their step because Konrad Schleur did not play earlier, and he is kitted up and has the disc in his hand ready to start the game.
Yes, indeed. He will be getting us starting. He will be wearing a different number to what we normally see him. We'll be sporting the 70 shirt of Joël Ben-Joseph, who, of course, is one of the players not able to make his way onto the pitch because he's just feeling too unwell today, but not an injury per such, and certainly big love to all of the players who can't make it to this particular tournament because of having to rest and recover and try and recuperate for the big show in Limerick in a couple of weeks' time. But talking to the Germans, actually, about that French Masters game in the supermarket between these games, we too got a game off, but we're back in the action. They did think they took their foot a little bit off the pedal towards the end of that match. So can they start strong? Then Dan Demarais with the disc, big fake, matched up against with Felix Martin. His toe line on the Toke cleats for Müller. Of course, there are so many Müller variants on the German side. We have a little moment to think, but there are 3 number 10s on the pitch as we see the Kranek churn that one down and throws a lovely, shapely, silky flick for Dan Demarais for the goal.
Dan Demarais has enough time to applaud the throw before he catches it. It was a nice find by the Kranek. He had some space. It looked as though the throw kind of tailed over the top, and one of the German defenders was considering having a bite at it, but de Kranek reels it in. Easy score for Belgium. Halfway through the point, we saw Germany flip their force, whether they're trying to confuse Belgium there. And also Dan Demarais, traditionally we know him as one of the best defensive players in Europe. He's been playing a lot on the O-line for Mooncatchers this year, but in that point he was the central handler for Belgium's O-line, who playing without Ben Jonkers in this game. I think he's being rested, so they're just, it's like make the whole plane out of the black box, make the whole plane out of Dan is seemingly what they're doing.
Well, unless there's some kind of weird topsy-turvy action that happens in this pool, this is indeed a game that the Belgians can happily play a little bit loose. You know, they'll certainly want this one just as much as any other game they would play, because, of course, all competitive athletes. But with 2 wins to their tally thus far, you only need 2 to get into semis in this tournament. Just finish in the top 2 spots, straight to semi-finals, no redemptions, no nothing. So with 2 victories thus far, the Belgians might come out a little bit less intense. So Nico Müller, centre of pitch, getting his way underway for Holger. Immediate ripper, chasing it down, that's Doscher, and an easy gimme from the D-line from Belgium, but lovely vision there.
It's a nice throw, but Belgium came out with the zone there. You could see they had 2 people up front. They had 1 person in the space in front of the disc. You come out in a zone and you get beaten on the 3rd throw deep. That's just switching off. There's no communication from the sideline, not enough communication from the sideline. That's just something that Belgium are going to have to eradicate, because you can't have, when you come out in a zone, being beaten deep on the 3rd pass.
Indeed. Well, perhaps I'm right. They are maybe coming into this a little on the back foot.
Maybe.
But obviously, if they concede too many points that quickly after getting that break to start us off, that gives the Germans some confidence to rely on and win their advantage back.
It was a great throw by Holger. Not just enough inside for it to be nice and easy.
And didn't go too high with it as well. We have seen the return of the wind in the opening games here on the live stream pitch. We saw a lot of discs really sitting and hanging and giving ample opportunity for defenders to catch up and get blocks. So nice execution with the changing conditions. So another big pull off the paws of Konrad Schleur. And again, fielding to centre for Dan de Marais. It's almost like an action replay. Zone from the Germans. Just sagging off. Or maybe just doing a bit of poaching off of the handler set. Knowing, of course, that this Belgian team does like to shoot deep. Got lots of the moon catchers and gentle rosters. Big play trying to get the disc back from Limmenstons. But that one just bumps out. You can see he watched it into his chest, but pops out like a piece of toast to breakfast in the morning.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. He was doing really well, Michael Muller, getting away from Conrad Schleur. It's pretty much as hard defensive matchup as you're going to get. And as you see, Dan de Marais has just switched onto Conrad Schleur. They've taken Muller off the Schleur matchup defensively to put Dan de Marais on him.
Well, that is a spicy, spicy matchup. Big shot going up. Can Dan de Marais close the door on Conrad Schleur? No, he cannot. Little jump over, but great pressure to make the big man go up early.
Yeah, he got closer to that than I thought he was going to get, honestly. It was really good prevent defense underneath, but you are going to leave it open. And it was a late throw that came out, kind of an open side backhand across yourself with some IO on it. And de Marais was definitely behind the play, did really well to catch up and make it difficult. You saw Peter de Molinare also trying to get over there and help. Great catch by Conrad Schleur, and they punish that drop by Marco Muller.
So we are back on serve after some feisty, very, very clean defensive break effort. Again, shame to see that one come off of Mathieu Muller, but these things do happen. These elite athletes are but human beings, it turns out.
It's a really good throw from Valvogel, just powering it down the field. Yeah, he's close there, but it's a good snatch from Schleur.
Well, we do have a little bit of a request for a shout-out, though. So, forgetting what just happened to Mathieu Muller, clearly using all of his holding and not dropping energy to keep safe his little son, Victor, who is 4 months old. He's asked us to give him a shout-out.
Yeah, definitely don't drop a 4-month-old.
No, don't drop your young son. But maybe that's all. That it's too much daddy energy. You know, he's using it all off the field.
Very justifiable. Very justifiable.
Absolutely, that's the more important thing. Let's be honest.
Great pull.
Fantastic pull. Yep. Fielded strongly, all the way across. Not quite the timing. Double cutting underneath, closing up that space themselves. Bigmans. PJ, of course, de Molinare. Fuse. Of course, Arthur Fuse having been added to the squad for Belgium this week in that green cap. 110 replaced by another, but the flail D from Felix Martin generates the turn. Bassoff and Martin. Bit of give-go action, slicey inside, and a nice score for Marcel Hartmann. And good. That's 3 on the bounce for Germany. Yeah,
good D by Felix Martin, and a nice throw at the end there, throwing the low release flick across his body, just without having to change stance, get it out nice and quickly. It's definitely the right option. He had so much space and time that he could basically throw whatever he wanted, but make sure he gets that out of his hands while the defender's looking right at him. So the defender's looking at the disc, the person behind can basically wherever they need to go. Just makes it much easier. But Belgium's offense, you're right, Hannah, is stifled a bit, and it's definitely messy. You can tell that there have been some changes on this O-line. This is not exactly the personnel they're used to playing with, because people are cutting into the same spaces, and that's just making everything a bit more difficult. We see sort of Van der Wey there in the handler space, just not quite being able to keep it moving. But they're keeping a lot of the same guys out there. We see Dan de Marais staying out there, Toby de Cranje staying out there, Fuse is staying out there. There's that Van der Wey staying out there as well. There's a lot of the same guys, so they're going to try and work this out on the fly.
Yeah, well, I think a lot of this O-line kind of gentle lads. Of course, there is some turnover of rosters, so some home players from Jet Set who have now found themselves sort of playing their Club Ultimate this season with moon catches for fairly obvious reasons, although Jet Set did punch their ticket to the big show beginning of this season.
Yeah.
In emphatic style. Did have Dan de Marais alongside with them, which always helps.
Tom Blasman as well, that was a nice pickup.
Oh yeah, that's a good point. I'd almost forgotten about him.
It's a all number 10 handler set.
10, 10, 10. So this is good movement, just being patient. Great shutdown on from Schleur to stop Dan de Marais. Quite cheeky scuba to Krane. Has Bickman's going deep, but shakes him off. Müller. Diffuse. Oh, lovely upline action. Dish and go. Mathieu Müller makes up for his error in very fine style.
Yeah, that was a nice offensive point from Belgium. They were able to work space, find those inside channels. The interesting that that Germany decided to have Conrad Schleur on Dan de Marais. It's a matchup that's going to be very fun to watch for the rest of this game. But yeah, it's the way they worked through and found space there. Belgium was much better. You could see that they were a bit more disciplined in their cutting lanes, and they just kept finding space until they found the open person for the goal. Let's see, Van der Wey picking out Müller in the end zone. It's a nice throw.
So Christian Gaffney getting us underway for some German O-line action. We've not seen out on the pitch for a little while. D-line going to work in a pretty dominant style. So Müller of the Michael variety, now Dosche. Of course, this German O-line largely staffed by Baz Skid, but that's got to be a hand block the way that fell at the feet of Philip Kay.
Yeah, it looks like it, and it was a really good scramble by Belgium. They came out of that zone quite late. Hughes called it because he was the deep, and they came out of it really, really late and managed to scramble to contain Germany very well.
Verreken pops through. Bit of a leg gear action for Descan, at number 81. Ooh, that was quite the pickup for Dirk. Big chuck, two players who've escaped their matchups, but that's going to fade in a rather unpleasant way out of bounds.
Yes, Watts had steps there, but the throw wasn't quite the right angle. It came out with a bit too much OI. You want that to be a bit flatter, but the wind is pushing it slightly that way, although it certainly died from what we had earlier today.
Yeah, it has pretty much become a very calm and still affair.
Yeah.
It's humid as though, and especially under with the 3G underneath you.
Yeah, it's really, really, really warm in here.
Oh yeah. Bit like a Nelly song. But of course, the only thing to do really is keep all of your jersey and shorts on and run until you feel cooler because of the air, I guess. But a zone coming out from the Belgians. It's worked out a couple times so far in this game. But the throw into the floor there, a bit too loose from Dosche. Pops back. Simons. Good swinging around, just need to be patient, take the opportunity to get another break-off score. Turn into one of those weird topsy-turvy games. Heymans. Heymans of Jet Set, of course.
Belgium really just picked that up immediately and just went. As soon as the turnover happened, they just turned the Jets on and flew. Interesting. Not getting into that kind of end zone structure, just picking up and going. And Germany calling an injury. They have Conrad Schleur coming on, and it looks as though Dan de Marais is coming on for Belgium in response.
Well, I like that as a change, and we're going to be not blessed with the two of those matching up against each other, but Schleur on the mark. Dirk. De Marais grinding himself into the rubber crumb. Verreken. Oh, that's a lovely around break. Just reaching up. Dan de Marais, calm and composed. Gets himself a stat after coming on for the injury reserve.
Yep, didn't have to do a lot of the running there, but very effective in those short spaces, as he has been all season. Verreken with a really, really nice throw around to him, and De Marais reaches up and gets it. And that Belgium zone, I said in the first time they brought it out, just got beaten deep early, but they were more disciplined there, were able to contain things. They transitioned to match close to the end zone, did a good job scrambling, and then down by Germany's own end zone line, It really limited them and forced a bad throw. So we could see a little bit more of this zone. It looks like it's forcing Germany to think and not quite finding the right answers yet.
Well, at the moment, all of the fans in the chat are behind the Belgians. If you're a German fan, you're watching this game, feel free to show your side some love in the chat. Of course, we've got Ziziz Malderich, who's tuning in from the States, must be. I think he's over in Chicago right now.
Oh, yeah? Wow.
Playing in the AUDL.
Is that not really early? Is it really early?
Don't know, but whatever time it is all about the trains. But at the moment, it really is about who's currently got control of this game. We've now had 3 unanswered from Germany, responded to by 2 unanswered from Belgium, after, of course, taking a break to start this game. So we've only had 1 hold for either team's O-lines thus far, being dominated by defense. But yes, it's 9:30 in the morning for Chicagoites in Illinois.
There we go. Interesting. Fair enough. That's commitment to the cause. Waking up and watching from Chicago. Although,
oh, I don't know if it's commitment. I think it's just a pure enjoyment, Sean.
Could be. Hey, it's been a fun day so far. Some good games.
Absolutely. So again, Belgium choosing the zone, backing themselves for the baited over the top shots, but that's a nice flat one for Greenwald.
Wind picking up a little bit as well now.
Big fake from Müller, selling the front set. Greenwald. Okay now.
They're going to come out of this now. Oh!
Well, that just bobbles straight off the hands, but a foul call on the throw. Unsurprising.
Not contested either.
Yeah, that did not look like the normal finesse we're used to seeing out of the paws of Kay. A call of orange from the sideline.
Yeah, they said that as the throw came out, I said they're going to come out of this now. The zone, it's good for the opposition half. You don't necessarily play it in your own half.
Indeed, all too easy for these elite athletes. Müller on the front. Oh, that's a gorgeous offhand, but that's taken away by the defense, powering through. A little bit of a smile there from Holger Müller, though.
That's the danger with those offhand throws, that you don't get the angle right, and he's thrown it at the wrong angle too far backwards, and it's allowed the defense to come back into the play. You want to be leading that out in front of somebody, but with your offhand, it is a lot more difficult to get that detail right.
Big shot going into the deep space, sitting and hanging for days, though, and ripped out by Konrad Schlor.
Ooh, that was good.
Müller. Off and forward, big laser flick right into the deep pocket. Oh, and Konrad Schlor opened up the legs and catches that one in stride. Stops the flow of the Belgians, and at the moment we are leveled up.
That was a nice shot, I have to say. It was a perfect throw. You could see he put his whole body into it to make sure he got the distance involved and went all the way in. But if we watch the replay of this D from Konrad Schlor, he goes up over the top and rips it down. Absolutely outstanding stuff. And then a big shot from Greenwald. Konrad Schlor, all the time in the world to wrap his hands around it and put Germany back up.
So talking about offhand throws, as we saw that one come a little bit undone for Müller. Fun facts from the knowledge bank of Polar Bus. If you train something with your non-dominant hand, it actually has a learning advantage for your dominant hand. So if you practice offhand throws with excellent technique, focusing on releasing correctly, it can actually make your dominant throwing hand even better.
Why is that? Is that just a neurological thing?
It is just a neurological thing. Super cool. It's one of the things I love about Ultimate Athletes. I mean, not to cast any shade on athletes in other sports, but there are some real, true, fantastic nerds floating around Frisbee tournaments. Yes.
You probably get a lot more doctors and scientists and all that kind of engineers at high-level Ultimate tournaments, and you get a lot of other sports pinnacle tournaments.
So Belgians on the charge. We're back to level pegging, but are we going to get a little section of trading to change the shape of this game? Muller. Flat one, nice and easy across the fuse. Sorry, that's not. That's Van der Roost. Van der Wegen. Through to the corner. Van der Wegen. Big fakes. Oh, that one released on 9 and a couple of extra milliseconds. Kind of trying to go for that low flick. Immediately turns and shakes off Felix Martin. Pick call though, brief moment of pause.
Yeah, Conrad Schloor not on the field, so Felix Martin gets the Dan de Marais matchup.
And he's doing a fantastic job of just nullifying the threats for the Belgians.
Yeah, doing a very good job so far. Belgium having to work really hard and make little gains at a time here.
Well, they're a very feisty team full of younger athletes who played juniors quite a lot together, so perhaps potential to frustrate. De Molenaar. Of course, PJ back on the pitch after a bit of a long absence to recover himself, but PJ going to the deep space and grabbing a Belgian goal. Level us up, fours.
Yeah, you could see as soon as PJ let that throw go back underneath, he set off deep for that back corner and just beat his man to the back corner. Nice throw to put it out in front of him. Good point for Belgium. They were kept calm. Van der Wegen was controlling things at the back, moving the disc back and forth, making sure they still had time and space. The Germans limited them very, very effectively up until the point where PJ just got 4 or 5 yards deep and the throw goes up. But I would say from a Belgian or a German defender, that's the kind of point we want. Forcing them to make a lot of throws, forcing them to make a lot of decisions, a lot of having to try and get to the break side a lot. Eventually that kind of pressure is going to tell.
Well, to be fair, that's also like the quality of just high-level ultimate, right? It's you really don't want to see too many points where you have what we saw at the beginning of this game, was just exploded coverage, you know, 3-pass ultimate. I mean, it's sort of, you know, you run through the game clock very quickly, which is not always a bad thing, but certainly it's about being patient, waiting for opportunities. When you are facing up against an opponent who really is worthy of your team, playing that kind of patient, throwing as many passes as you need to get that opportunity when one of your star players or any of your players can race off to the deep space in the way that PJ just did. It's something that teams tend to struggle with in the early days, is being a bit too hasty.
Yes, just wanting to go too quickly, score too quickly. Back to this Belgian zone. Indeed.
Getting distracted by some gazebo movie action behind us, but we will continue. Ultimate France. Holger pops it forward. The two Buitenmüller brothers on that far sideline, the 18 and 19. Funny that Michael didn't choose 20 or 6 or 17, sorry. Full family affair. K now. Anchoring at the back with his fellow Wall City teammate, Christian Gaffney. Stylistic director of Jogo Bonito. Okay, swinging across. A little lead pass from Buitenmüller. Oh, two lads playing a bit of catch at the back. Give-go action. Holger finds Samuel up that line. Beautiful stuff. Buitenmüller brothers going to work.
Nice and patient to get through that Belgian zone. Belgian transitioned. There was a blown coverage somewhere. Someone wasn't picked up, and they were able to just find the open man, work it around until there was space in the end zone. That was a nice point for Germany's offense. Didn't look like they were in any trouble at any point there. It was a nice point. Belgium have had some success with this zone, but that seems to have gone, and it could well be that they need to change it up again because Germany have worked out the best way to play against it.
It is a thing you can do as a defense, is put the same kind of configuration out, especially with a zone one too many times. And over the course of a tournament as well, smart teams will scout, they'll look at your previous games and, you know, draw up plans to face up against whatever you're putting out on the defensive questions. It's useful to be able to have kind of zones that are a bit more flexible as well and have players that can adapt to different positions and play them slightly differently.
The other thing as well is at this point in the season, you just wonder how much they're going to want to change, because if you slightly change it, you're then burning a card you might want to use in Limerick, because these two teams, one would imagine, are going to be playing, you know, at the business end of that tournament. So if you change your zone now to try and figure out what Germany are doing at the London Invite, they're going to know what you're going to do in Limerick at EUC. I think you'd probably rather save it for when you actually need it.
So match defense being played against the Belgians. De Molinare just hanging out at the back. De Marais. Easy. Does it. Beekmans now. Another of the standout players for Moon this season is John Beekmans. See that one get picked out though. Says he's been stripped. He had control of that. I think there's a fair argument for that, Sean.
I think so. It looks very, very tight. To be fair as well, they're both coming into that space. You could make an argument that there's a potential for a dangerous play, but I think he definitely has his hand on it. If he says he has control, it looks like it's good enough for Hartman.
Yeah, Limenstone's there. There was a really interesting example picked up actually by Ian French, Everyday Better Coaching, about sometimes actually catching your Ds is the wrong strategy, and there, if you're Stefan Limenstone, you really do have to go in for a flying bobble, kind of mac away rather than the catch to really get there first, but clearly not quite quick enough. De Kranet across. De Marais, little spring lamb hop. De Molinare. Lovely footwork from John Beekmans. Germans really pinning them to this close sideline. Van der Vega. High flick, but loads of room for Toby de Kranet to work in. Finds Dan de Marais, trailing edge catch, just shy of the goal, pops it through the letterbox to Beekmans, and that will be a nice smooth hole. But the pass tallies on these points, Sean, is rising high.
Yeah, both teams are doing a good job of not rushing, like we were saying earlier. They're not just trying to just jam it into the deep space and hope something pulls off or someone pulls off a great catch. They are really working it. They're trying to use the whole field, both sides, attacking the mark, being expansive, and just taking passes at a high percentage and just keeping this moving, which is good to see. You can see both of these teams want to do this the right way. They're stretching each other at the moment. You can see that they're both really, really talented, both really solid defensive outfits, and both offenses are working really hard to get that space, but both offenses are doing a good job of staying efficient.
Indeed, it's been a long time since we've had a turnover. 3 fully clean points. And even in the previous one, of course, the Germans managed to grind that one back to steady the ship after this one. It looked like it was going to be a game of real swings. And big shout out, we've already said lots of love to all of the injured players, but big shout to Raf Jonkers, who's got himself into the live chat as well, talking about the various injuries. So hopefully Bontemps, I think, resting himself ahead of under-24s, of course, which will be upon us before we know it. That's happening starting off next weekend. But a big shot from Buitenmuller is going to overshoot Nico Muller and trail out of bounds. So an opportunity here.
It is an opportunity. Just to echo as well that shout out to Ref Jonkers. Hope he gets back on the field soon. But yeah, it's an opportunity to get back on level pegging. I think Belgium started this game on offense, so getting back on level pegging could be a nice way to sort out.
It was a break to start us off for the Belgians, so they currently we are still on serve in this game.
I think that's wrong. I think Germany pulled. Konrad Schleur had the first pull of the game.
Ah, well, I'll tell you what, he's been very good for us all game, but maybe Statsman Ed, having left us be under the sun, he's gone to sit with the production crew underneath our gazebo. God, just can't get done. No, I'm kidding. He's had to do every single game back to back. Us pansies here haven't even given him a break yet, so we'll have to make sure we can get someone else. But that is a lovely upline cut. Dante Simons has 2 options and then takes the third. So standing almost directly in the way of each other. Dirk. Nice and easy. Brecht Heymans just Slowly matriculating it round the back. Simons. That one's a little bit of a truss ball, but the curve and shape on it is absolutely beautiful.
Yeah, that's an outstanding throw. Sees some space, and it's a very, very small window to throw into because the defender's peeled off the back to try and help and has just curled it over the top of him, although there is a call. What the call is, I'm not sure. Is it a pick? And are they discussing if it affected?
It did look like a pick. I mean, I suppose if it happened a long time before the throw, then fair enough, but that did look like a fairly, you know, decent position on the defender running down pitch. But
It's come back.
it has indeed. Gaffney will tap us back in. So, Simons. Verreken. Just nice and easy does it. High toss. Benjamin Verreken moves it across. Hockey. Nicolas Hockey stealing the disc away under hot pressure from the attempted poach. Simons throws the goal through Benjamin Verreken from the handle space.
Really good patience from Belgium. It was very, very, very close to a poach block there. You had Stefan Duscher coming all the way through, but Hockey with great concentration, keep his eyes on the disc and complete the catch. And once they had that numerical advantage on the open side, they managed to work it all the way through. And a nice goal for Verreken. As you see, Hockey, you can see his eyes on the disc the whole way, even as man comes flying in, concentrates all the way on the throw. And Belgium, really good patience, really good movement to convert that break, and I think that puts us back on serve now. Sorry to our stats collector, who is doing a sterling job.
Absolutely.
Other than that
Hard
one
working
mistake.
man under the sun. Didn't even get fed. Had to go. No, I'm kidding. We did go on a jolly trip to
No
Tesco.
food, no water. We're working him to the bone.
I
He's not
was,
actually allowed to move. We've chained him to the chair.
I did actually ask the question earlier, Sean. So to give you an example of just how hot it is at the field, we are not playing, but we, as you know, trying to look after one another out here on the pitch, as you do, we are our own team, as it were. I asked, and this is Ed and Isaac's first event with us, and a big shout out to Isaac also working our cam ops. I asked them the question, they got maybe a bit personal, of how many times have you visited the bathroom today? Because you know when like you're playing, it's you want to obviously make yourself in a sense of hydration of the visits should match the number of games you've played.
I didn't expect we were going there, but yeah, okay, sure.
But yeah, we are asking those questions of each other, Sean.
Okay.
That is how hot it is.
Okay.
We are. It is very, very, very warm.
Yeah, my water's disgusting. It's very warm. It's not particularly pleasant to be drinking, but obviously you need to keep drinking it. Yeah,
Oh mate, if you'd like a cup, I've got a vacuum insulated
no, I'm fine,
water
I'm fine,
bottle.
I'm fine. It's just you just need to plug it in there. It'll be fine.
I can recommend them though in general. If you're at a very hot event and you want to keep your hydration cool and not have like lukewarm water or heaven forfend hot water to have to drink on the side of a pitch, not very refreshing when you tip that over the back of your head so much. But yeah, vacuum insulated big water bottles are actually really cool.
When I get annoyed, I spike my bottle or kick it. I don't think that would be a good idea with the vacuum pads on. I might break it, so I'll stick with my nail.
It's pretty good. I've dropped this on several concrete floors, and it's survived the experience. It's actually a company who sponsored a particular Ultimate tour. So also, shout out to them, 50/50 bottles. The rogue non-Ultimate sponsor of Ultimate. So, back with disc in German hands, Beutenmüller. Back to Greenwald. Greenwald. Higher still, but not too much pressure. This is really great containment from the match of the Belgians. Cheeky over the top though, Nico Müller sneaking over to the break side. Doscher through to Holger. Greenwald. Oh, that was very, very close to a big old block for Zwarts. Benjamin Zwarts, a name we're quite used to saying at this point in the season. Oh, a little stumble underneath it, cannot quite redeem, says there's too much contact. But that was quite the battle to keep himself up there for Samuel Beutenmüller.
Now, I didn't see much contact there, but clearly there must have been because it's not a contested foul. He's already on the way down there. I mean, obviously it's made a difference because, as I say, the Belgian player has not contested it.
Yeah, a very strange one, but an offhand backhand over the shoulder of the mark, and the head of the defender in the end zone gives Phil Kay his next stat on the board, and 6 apiece.
Germany trying some stuff out here. Nico Müller started that point downfield. In the last game they played, we saw him kind of take points off where Germany didn't have him just centering the disc to him every time on offense. This time they started upfield with like an isolation set on the front of the stack. It was really good prevention D to stop it getting to him, so it was a few passes around the back trying to find some space between the other players until they got to Nico. Once he got to Nico, it was nice movement. This is a fantastic bid. I thought he was going to get there. He was so close. And another offhand throw for the score. We saw one from Stef Pazzo at that point as well. I think.
Did absolutely gorgeous bid from Benjamin Zwartz there. One of the gentle chaps on this Belgian side. And also, fun fact, he's the Belgian Ultimate co-president. So he's clearly dedicating himself on and off the field. But Holger Beutenmüller starting to eat up the stats board in this game. 2nd assist and first goal. No, not first goal, 1 goal even. 2 assists and 1 goal for the number 19. Handsome chap.
You can see both teams kind of growing into this now. Started off with a German run. The Belgians have pulled it all the way back. Both teams executing quite well on offense, finding the open space, being patient. So we could see a swing back to the defenses at some point here, but for now this has been an entertaining game between 2 teams that are executing at a high level, not far away from Euros.
Well, exactly what you want to see at this stage, as you say, in the season. Van der Vega looking for options. Swings it around. Van der Dost. To Demarais. A string of 10 number jerseys. Finds then Müller. To Krane. Now Beekmans. Oh, hot pressure contesting every pass. Douala. Has a think about it, has a look at it. Does Dan Demarais. Shoots one in the near space to, looks like Müller. But a pick will give us a moment of pause.
Yeah, Müller, or is it, it's not Müller, it's not a Beekmans. Beekmans has struck deep, dragged 2 men away, and that left Müller open in that space. You can see Dan Demarais look down the line, think about it, but Muller's going to the space. Belgium keep that offense moving, and they're really keeping this patience going, which has been excellent so far.
Müller. Back to Demarais. Big fake to send blast off. Oh my goodness, I don't think that was an offhand, but it was. That looks so smooth.
That too.
Beautiful stuff, Douala into the lap of De Krane. Not De Krane, Demarais. Goodness gracious me. So many star-studded plays, you forget which one you're talking about.
Yeah, that's lovely offense on the end zone line. Just 2 offhand throws, sent out into space, and left the actual assist being a pretty basic backhand into an unmarked player. They really did a great job opening that up. 2 kind of lateral offhand throws.
Well, let's get another look at exactly what you just talked about, Sean.
High release into that space. That's absolutely beautiful. Fake to bring the guy around. And then pop it over his shoulder.
I love the stabilization of the dominant throwing hand still on the back of the disc, and that kind of one fall that those just the really keeps it nice and flat if you're not used to that angle of release. It's a thing of beauty, those offhands, which you never used to really see. It's kind of had a real surge, especially post-pandemic. Do you think there were any athletes that were maybe using that time to, when you couldn't throw a frisbee with your friends because of fairly obvious reasons? Do you think maybe that's part of it?
Maybe. I think, to be honest, a lot of it is the proliferation of that short game in America. Teams like Ring moving the disc so quickly in short spaces, because that flick, that small flick, is such a difficult throw. Using that offhand instead, especially when you practice it, it does actually become pretty reliable pretty quickly. So I think it's more that proliferation, as I say, of short ball, people wanting to move into short spaces quickly, and it's much easier using that offhand. And people are using it really well, as you say. We've definitely seen a lot of people using it in a very good way over the last year or 2.
and something that, you know, you don't have to necessarily be at a team training to achieve in terms of upping your game, something you can do while you're sat watching ULTI.TV on your sofa or whatever your comfortable perch of choice. High reception for Müller. This to bring us to a Galaxy point. Gaffney, a scoop inside flick fakes. Fakes the offhand, gonna have to find something, maybe a chuck it in hope, just pop it into the pack. Holger Müller grinding his way underneath. Müller. Müller. Oh, an inside flick, sailing through and finding Hartley Greenwald. So that will put us on 7s for a Galaxy point, Sean.
Yeah, it's, I think, fitting as well. This first half has been very, very, very balanced. So going into a point for the half, definitely a fair outcome at this stage. And obviously, Germany scored that point, so it didn't necessarily matter. But just a word on the prevent D of Benjamin Verreken there. Nico Müller is one of the best handlers in Europe, and Verreken absolutely stonewalled him trying to get the disc off the line there. It had to be Holger Müller coming out from the stack. Must have been stall 9 and a bit. So great defense by Verreken, and looks like someone has called a timeout ahead of this pretty crucial point. I don't think the Germans have called one yet in this half, so someone's called for a stoppage anyway.
Well, as we get a stoppage on the pitch, I think we're going to take a very, very quick break for some adverts, but we'll be back after these messages. Oh, look at that timing, bringing you back live into this action. Belgium Open versus Germany Open at the moment, looking to take an advantage into the second half. There's some discussion as to whether or not we have our stats right, but John Bateman isn't going to think about that. He's just going to think about throwing to a very intensely defended, as always, Dan de Marais matching up against Felix Martin. Two young lads going toe-to-toe. De Crane not doing much in terms of trying to fake his mark out, just waiting for the opportunity. Low one, scooped up by Müller. Who I'm sure will enjoy watching this one back with his son in times to come. PJ popping back, that's a huge bid, but it gets macked forward. Van der Rust scooping.
So unlucky.
really is. Dan de Marais. Lovely inside. Müller now. It takes a while to initiate, but they get it in the form of de Marais. De Crane. Oh, that's a lovely one out into the path of Batemans, who just runs free. And I think the heat is starting to get to some of these athletes, but the offense is still looking pretty good.
Very good. Yeah, the Belgians did a really good job again of staying patient and making sure they had the right option. There was a moment there when the disc was over with Marco Müller just outside the end zone when they had 4 people around the disc, but they clarified that quite well. Someone cleared through. Dan de Marais dropped back, was able to find de Crane and then cut straight across the front of the end zone to convert. Very unlucky for Wolf. It was an absolutely outstanding bid, and he's just knocked it straight into the hands of another Belgian player, which is unfortunate, but that's the kind of breaks you get sometimes when you're playing against an elite team.
Absolutely. Well, you know, if we just cut the clip before the, the other person, I think it was,
catches
yeah, before Van der Roost catches it, that can add to the highlight reel, I'm sure. So as we take a break for half, we will also take one in the booth. Don't go anywhere though. Second half action coming up for you on the other side of this.
Always on the move? You can keep up to date with ULTI.TV on all of our social media channels. Like, follow, subscribe, share us with a friend, or send us a message just to say hey. Thank you for supporting us in our mission to grow Ultimate everywhere.
Second half opening us up. We have the Germans coming out on offense. So you're vindicated, Sean?
Knew it.
Nothing gets past Sean Culver. Ed tries to confuse him, but he can't. Anyway, back to the action. Nico Müller starting us off with enviable field position right in the centre of the end zone. Beautiful shot, but it's going to be a little bit too late from Holger Burtenmüller. Picking himself up some friction burns, I'm sure, on the 3G.
So the wind for most of the day has been starting kind of behind the camera and going across the field laterally. It's been a lot of side wind, but it has changed slightly. So that throw was into a bit of a gust, which just maybe made it die a little earlier than it usually would.
Indeed, she is a fickle beast, the weather. Lovely movement, though. It's straight out of the blocks, and that's going to be a break for the Belgians to start the second half. Well, well, well.
Lovely stuff. Hammer opened up the field, and they just started running and never stopped. Disc moved incredibly quickly. Belgians did a great job. And there's a cute little team celebration. Was that a train noise they all made?
That was indeed a choo-choo. Well, that would make sense a little bit more as to why Didier Malderish said that he loves trains in the chat earlier.
Oh, maybe. Knows with maybe it's a
inside
from the
joke.
Moon guys.
Yeah,
Yeah, that
yeah.
could be.
A little bit of clipboard action there. Sophie Bonton already saw in the chat the info coming out of ref Yonkers, of course, saying that Sofiane overstretched his hamstring. Should be back in under 24s in a couple of weekends' time.
Good
and
news.
Artefella is still okay, of course. I actually saw him at Windmill, and this might surprise you, Sean. So part of apparently something to do with recovery of injury, you can put like a clay mask that you'd normally put on for like face cleansing. You can actually put that on an injured part of your body as helping it recover for some reason. I guess maybe like the nutrients in it.
Oh, interesting.
But he had, so he had like a clay mask on one part of his leg, and then was like, what was it? Muscle gunning another part of it. It was a whole thing.
It's very intense.
Very intense. It kind of looked really cool though. Like a combination of like mad science in the form of the muscle gun, but also just like really like sort of, earthy vibes from the clay mask. That one escaping Nico Müller. Letting
Slide
it
tackle.
roll. Yeah, slide. Oh, bit of football. Football. Okay, going high. But makes it okay. A shout from the sideline saying no inside, so it's an offhand backhand over the top. Konrad Schlor going up nice and easy. Emil de Rijk can't stop him. Dosha still not quite enough, but a quick one snatched out of the air by the clap catch of Konrad Schlor.
I love the casual offhand to try and lead Dosha into the end zone, but Dosha caught it too early. Yeah, really, really good throw. Again, that's the second time that we've seen an excellent deep shot from Hartley Greenwald. 2 big flick bombs that have paid off dividends for Germany, finding Konrad Schleur, who has, again, he's gone deep only twice that I can recall. Both times have led to a goal for Germany. He's just such a great athlete, excellent verticality. He's just really, really good in the air. Even though he's not the tallest player on the roster, he can really jump, and he's got broad shoulders, so he can really establish position there as well. So did a great job muscling his defender out, reeling it in, and then working with Dosha for the score.
So, not everything on serve at the moment. The Belgians are up that 1 break in this game. Because, of course, they have got 3 to their earnings, despite our confusion earlier. But it's all good. All good in the sun hood. As it still is, even with the cloud cover, it is warm out here on the pitches, and the 3G having been cooked this morning, making things even spicier. So, intense match defense from the Germans, with the exception of the poach off from the far side handler. Limmenstons just lurking in the deep space, making those over-the-top shots look less attractive. Van der Oost looking for some kind of action. Van der Vega to Müller. Mathieu Müller around. De Marais. Van der Oost. This is just smooth and slinky movement, but great containment being applied. Martin, again, tasked with matching up Dan de Marais. That one a little bit low, nearly bobbles out of the hands, but all good for Jonas de Valle. De Marais checking, watching it all the way into the hands. Van der Vega, nice flick into the path of Toa de Krane, and that is a high pass count, but silky smooth score.
Yeah, very, very good. It's another one where Germany are doing a good job. They're playing intense match. They're dropping little poachers off into the lanes, smart poachers. Valvogel a couple of times, just mucking up a lane, stopping a throw, then recovering to his man. You see Felix Martin trying to stop the break there. But the Belgian offense at the moment is a real grappling match with Germany, just trying to get one of those little advantage so that you can suplex your opponent into submission. But an excellent point for Belgium there. Managed to reel in the score, extend their lead back out to 2 points, and they are playing very, very well.
So still very much anyone's game. We spoke to 2 different athletes out on the pitch in this match, Sean, and asked them what their score predictions were. Can you remember them?
I remember the score predictions. I don't remember who said them. I remember someone from Germany said they would win on Universe Point.
13-12 from the from the lips of Felix Martin.
And the Belgian person said 15-10, as I recall.
Indeed, and that was Dan de Marais.
Oh, there we go. I would say, to be fair, looks closer to Felix's prediction, although I would guess we're probably going to reach cap. I mean, that is an absolutely beautiful throw from Nico Müller.
Yes, indeed, making Stefan Duscher's life extraordinarily easy and in very fast fashion. We've had the points sort of drag on a little bit more, higher pass tallies, but that one, very, very quick. Super contrast to Belgium, who had to put in 24 passes for the previous possession.
You see what happened there. So the stack, it starts out looking like it's going to be a vert stack, which is how Germany played the whole game. The stack all comes over to this near side, and Doscher, who it looked like was going to be an isolation off the front, the person who's marking him is fronting him, expecting there to be isolation to come off the front, and he just burns deep when the stack all comes over to this side, leaves the field wide open, nothing at all in front of him. Difficult to poach off because of that late movement from the whole stack. Really, really smart play drawn up by the Germans to get a quick score and get their D-line back out to try and take this break back.
Well, this is a real must-win game for the Germans to ensure themselves into the top 2 finishing positions in this pool. This is the last game of pool play for Pool MB over in the Open Division. And of course, Belgium sitting pretty on 2 wins thus far. The Germans having obviously taken the loss against the Barbarians RFC.
The Barbars very keen to be streamed. Every time I go anywhere near them, they are asking me if we're going to stream them, when we're going to stream them, how we're going to commentate them on if we do stream them.
Yeah, since none of them filled in a singular player survey. Even if you think we know you peeps, if we don't have a roster, well, I'll tell you what, that was a brilliant turnover.
Just a miscue by the Belgians off the pull. It looked as though they had plenty of time, they had plenty of space, and it just thrown directly to a German defender, and the Germans just put it into the front corner.
Well, watch that one back. Maybe a bit too casual. They have been playing some very patient, very chilled out offense, but maybe a little bit too much chill there.
You see Holger's poached off. His man's cleared out, and he just hasn't gone with him. And he's just put it in.
Well, sometimes these things do happen, and certainly it's not that in any way, shape or form Holger Beutenmüller is somebody that we're going to miss on the pitch. You know, he's
Big boy.
He is a very large presence, and someone that you're also going to keep an eye out for, because you know he's a big threat wherever he is on the pitch. But that's just really smart vision.
It is just smart. He knows his man's clearing out, and he's probably thinking, well, he's going to be clearing out in a not that damaging of a space, because it's right in front of the disc. So even if he does go deep on you, that's a really tough throw that you can recover onto. Just gambles on the underneath. Gamble paid off beautifully, and we are now back on serve.
So 10 apiece, with the Belgians having that advantage. They have been trying to create themselves advantage as well, but this would be quite the thing. Germany having to rely on barbarians falling to the French masters, who they beat with a decent but not considerable margin. De Kranet pops through, big old pick call.
We've got Holger out on D as well, so that's 2 points in a row where we've got Holger on a D line for Germany. He's been on the O line pretty much the rest of the game, so clearly Germany want to get back on top in this game.
Well, it's also the last game of the day for both teams. After this, they can rest on their laurels. They can grab themselves some refreshments and go sit themselves in the stand, awaiting, of course, the showcase games later on this evening. Demarais pops back. Oh, that's a very, very quick release, and it is very pinpoint to that front cone, almost directly on top of it. And it's going to be De Kranet with the goal off the paws of Van der Wegen.
Yeah, it's his third goal of the game. He's been very, very difficult to stop in those cutting channels. He's so quick and so explosive, but nice handle movement there. Demarais just lets Van der Wegen get a little bit of momentum going, and he absolutely fires it in on the front corner. Nice offense again from Belgium. Ran it down the sideline and then worked it back into the middle of the field. The patience has been extremely impressive from them all game. And they know people are going to get open. It's just a case of waiting for it to happen, and all making the right kind of movements and cutting into the right kind of spaces. You can tell they're well drilled, and you can tell they're very confident in each other.
Well, a short memory for the O-line of Belgium, after, of course, the previous point where they had that just a little bit of lack of focus, perhaps. You can see Peter Jan.
And Holger back out there. That's 3 points in a row.
Pat Lamine. Pierre-Alain Delamine coming off, the coach for this Belgian Open side. Of course, coach for another quite handy team, Sean.
Yes, Mooncatcher's coach. Had a very good season so far this year. Looking to continue that with the Belgians.
Indeed, rather than the club side, which has got some help from other nations. But at the moment, oh, that is a big old bump on the mark.
Yeah.
Less of that, please. See him almost get a whiplash. Müller. Okay, unpoached, opens up the arms, prostrate almost. Greenwald. Tell you what, Holger Beutenmüller is putting in an absolute shift right there. Müller now. Bit of a cluster in the end zone. Hopefully they can find some better form and shape. Nico Müller dancing around, making himself available. Has Duscher behind, but pops one just out in front of course, the number 10, Philip Kay.
Really nice footwork from Kay there. He was marked quite nicely by Simons, and he just brings him back out. You see he backs off a little bit. Simons turns his body, and Kay attacks the inside shoulder and just gets open on the open side really, really well. It was good prevent D until Kay repositioned himself and just exploded the inside shoulder. It was nice play both all around there.
Well,
See Kay just attacks that shoulder.
yeah.
Nice.
Lovely stuff. Well, Dante Simones is does a bit of cross training when he's not on the pitch. He's a spinning instructor by trade.
Oh. Interesting. See on the sideline, he's reenacting what happened to his teammates and then expressing his frustration. So clearly he's going to learn from that and try to position himself slightly better throughout the movement next time around.
You never want to feel like you're spinning around on the mark there as you get a little kiss
Oh, I like that.
from Fowler. What a lovely fella. Well, this is turning into quite the game. We have an arrival of Stef Pazzo in the chat. Hashtag Barnburner. Getting immediately, of course, getting love from his fans who are alongside him. If you're enjoying this game,
Fan, singular. Just want to point that out. I'm your fan, implying there's only one.
we're all a fan of Stef Pazzo. Don't try and pretend otherwise, Sean. And if you're enjoying this game, please do consider whacking that like button. Like and subscribe. Like this game. Give us a thumbs up.
Looks like there's been a collision of feet or something.
You know, I think Toby de Catana's cleat has come off.
I think so. Yeah, I think it's because someone stood on his ankle. I think it's just a case of feet getting mixed up. Everyone looks all right there.
He doesn't. He's not got any. This is the. I'm finding it super interesting to see where cleat design is going because he's not actually got any shoelaces,
Oh yeah.
and they're just the slip-on sort of velvet ones. Well, not velvet.
Velvet. That
They
would be
feel
quite
like-
a choice.
They are nice though. They're more like socks.
That's not going to
than
be hard
cleats.
wearing at all. I would not recommend velvet football boots. That would be a bad idea.
Also not very comfortable.
No.
Unlike Tokai cleats, which of course are exceedingly comfortable.
There we go.
I still have my OG Mark 1 leather ones.
Oh yeah.
I still use them. In fact, I wore them at Masters Wales last year for most of our games. Lovely swinging across, nice and patient. To Van der Vega. Oh, a lot of air bounce underneath that, but great footwork. So we can hear the discussion there. So an out call from Felix Martin.
Which to be fair, was wrong.
I think that, yeah, that foot's good. That's some good footwork on that replay.
But I think
But I love the input though for Stefan Limerson
Yes.
saying it's a force out foul if it's
Yeah,
out.
Exactly. That's definitely right. But he was in anyway, but he's exactly right. If he was out, it would have been a force out.
Oh, Dan de Marais just doing Dan de Marais things.
Yep.
Skying the pack, being a menace. He's had some really fabulous defence to contest with in this game. Schlor, Martin playing dynamite defence on him.
Yeah, both doing a really good job. Obviously, he's still doing well, you know, in terms of stats. He's still got 3 goals and an assist because you can't really stop him, but they are doing a very good job of limiting him and making him work really, really hard. It's just that he's capable of doing very hard work.
Yeah, he's been asked to do very few exceedingly flashy things. It's usually just, you know, having to make a decision when they get close to the end zone and him largely going up the line and burning his way across corners. But it's been a full team effort thus far from the Belgians, who, having lost control of the game in the very early stages, are now back in front and in charge. Bigmans.
Great switch from Valvogel there.
Overthrows. Marquardt just slaps the disc into the floor just to make sure. Oh, it's going to be one pass offense in response. The counter attack, super duper quick. Great throw from Marcel Hartmann.
Yeah, Hartmann recognises that the steps that the Belgians haven't yet recovered after that turnover. They haven't got all the way up to the man, and takes full advantage of it. Great recognition of what's happening downfield, and a great throw to Marquardt. And as I said during the point, Valvogel switched. You could see the Belgian handler had pulled that disc back and was about to throw it. Valvogel switches out onto the wide one, makes him take a different option, and the turnover comes. It's really, really smart heads-up play.
So the Germans out in front for the second time in this match. Huge effort from the Belgians. But at the moment, it's that pressure. We've seen some in this midsection of this second half, Sean, just some really lack of focus errors from the Belgians.
Yeah.
They are being forced to throw a lot of passes out here. We obviously had that one fast break, well, it's not fast break, fast execution. Way back when for the break, sorry, yeah, it was for the break. But the past offensive holds for Belgium have required 10, 24, 22, 17 passes. They're really pushing them significantly into double digits to Germany Open.
Yeah, and it's hot. You know, they've got a fairly short line. Every single pass is making you slightly more tired. They're doing a great job of remaining efficient and taking good options, but eventually that's going to tell. That pressure's going to tell. And Germany at the moment doing a very good job of doing exactly what they need to do, but what they've got to do now is keep that pressure up and try to resist the Belgian pressure on D as well, because Belgium's D has been very strong.
Big inside, Vad Blasov trying to get that one away from Bigmans. Definite size mismatch there. De Waele. Happy around. Bigmans. Looking for the reset. Number one not taken, finally. Yeah, Demarais spooking Felix Martin. It's like he chucks on an invisibility cloak halfway through his cut.
It's juked him out of his shoes, honestly.
Molinari. PJ, obviously as he's known in the Frisbee community, finds Dan. Big hammer. It's a little bit flat, a little bit fast, but it's going to be good enough for the find and the goal. Van der Rust.
Yeah, Van der Rust, I think De Cranje was there as well. I suspect it was probably for De Cranje. He had a better angle on it, but Van der Rust comes out the stack, secures it. It's a nice find from Dan de Marais and a good hold for Belgium. They really needed that so they can get that D-line back out there. It's going to be tight all the way through to the finish, I think, Hannah.
And that's exactly what we like to see. Van der Rust catching that goal. Jet set player. And I've said it a couple times on live stream, Sean, but big hats off to Jet Set running Spring Invite. First ever sort of European event. They did a cracking job.
Yeah, they did. A very surprising result. Obviously, everyone expected Badskid to win that tournament or at least come close. Genta were another team that there was discussion about. Jet Set, there was not really too much buzz about them going into that tournament, but they did a great job. Winning 2 sudden death games, all the pressure on them, their home tournament, winning 2 Universe Point games to book their ticket to Wroclaw.
Indeed. And we'll be there. We need to book our flights, get our bags all sorted, etc. But my favourite thing actually about that, though, with the Leuven Spring Invite was that the Jet Set chaps were like, "Why are we seeded first? This doesn't make any sense. We don't tend to beat these teams on home soil." They also ended up with the early start because they were that first seed. Whereas everyone was talking about Badskid being in the smaller pool, having the sort of, easier route into the finals. Buitenmuller. Back to Gaffney.
Zone again.
Oh, yes. Good enough to Greenwald. Cheeky scuba. We love to see it, especially with 0 wind playing against zone. Melts to match now. Kay just trotting their way down the pitch. Müller. Oh, that is an absolutely gorgeous disc. More like that, please.
You can see as well, he knew exactly what the defenders were doing there, because you had Zwarts in the vicinity, but he's just throwing it behind him, because Zwarts is looking at the stack, doesn't know that the throw is basically just behind his head. It's a really nice execution from Germany's offense there. It was an interesting call by Belgium. Take Germany out of their routine a little bit, throw them something different. We saw the zone early in the game, haven't seen it for a while, so interesting to break it out now. But Germany dealt with it very well, put that point in pretty quickly, and what that has confirmed is that Felix Martin will be wrong. 13-12 is not going to be the final score, but he could well be right about it being 1 point in the difference at the end of the day.
Indeed, definitely not going to be right for Dan de Marais. Called it a 5-point difference of 15-10, having rolled through their opponents this morning, 15-6 and 15-6. And you see Dosha there just sauntering off the pitch.
It's a straight D-line for Germany. Not bringing anyone over, I don't think, although, is that
Müller?
Nico Müller?
That's Nico
That is
Müller.
Nico Müller. Interesting.
I mean, the man is a talented athlete anywhere on the pitch. And of course, had plenty of experience playing both sides of the disc last season.
Yeah, the World Games, yeah.
Indeed, I really like the 14-player rosters. So actually also playing with 16 apiece in this match, he'll perhaps be a bit more accustomed to it. And the humidity, because Alabama, not a particularly dry and cold place.
No, famously not.
Müller into the corner. One around. Schlor kept a little bit face marky there. Demarais, oh, the scuba's over the top. I'm so here for this action. And it's another one all the way across the world to the other side of the end zone for Van der Oost.
Anything you can do, I can do better from Toby de Cranje there. Lovely little scuba from Dan Demarais, and then over the top of the stack, you could see German defenders closing on it, but he spotted the space and popped it in there beautifully. Really, really nice point from Belgium. Good execution, good imagination, and we are back on level pegging, although Germany's still trading up here. It's interesting as well, we've had Felix Martin on Dan Demarais for a long time in this game. We've had Felix Martin matching up against him, but they bring Konrad Schlor onto that matchup near the end of the game when it gets to business end of the game. So still trying to work out ways to stop him. And with time over now, it looks as though we are playing a game to 15, Hannah.
We certainly are, Sean. Excellent management of the players, sort themselves out. No official scorekeepers with whistles here on the pitches at London Invite. But of course, if you're a UK local and you fancy coming and volunteering, I believe they would happily take you. Come watch yourself some high quality ultimate. Let's get a little look again there at Pierre-Alain Delamine, giving some last tactical adjustments. But it'd be lovely to see this one go all the way to Universe.
Have Belgium added Dan Demarais to their D-line? They have not. Dan Demarais, we saw pull double and, I don't know, triple. Is there triple duty a thing at Windmill? Played most of the points of that tournament, it felt like, but he is not on this D-line.
Well, this is not really a must win game for the Belgians. Of course, they have 2 wins to their tally thus far. This is a different situation, though, for Germany Open, having conceded that first game loss to Barbarians. They needed that little bit extra. Schlor.
He's popped him in the face.
Accidentally
with that offhand fake.
Emil Tariq, they're getting a bit of too much touch. Who's a teetotaler, which is unusual for Belgians.
Popped him in the face.
Ouch. he owes that man a drink, I think. Of certainly not beer.
No, a Coke maybe.
Well, a nice high one, fancy footwork, just stamps that back toe to Stefan Dosha and stamps 14 on the board for Germany Open. We knew it was going to be a game to 15, but at the moment, Germany just in the lead in the late stages of this match. I tell you what, Sean, this bodes fantastically well for EUC later.
Oh, absolutely. These are 2 of the best teams on the continent. We knew that already, and I think going into Limerick, we can look forward to some absolutely excellent games between them. We're probably going to see some powerful matchups. We're going to see them at some point later in the tournament, and I am really looking forward to seeing how it goes with a bit more pressure on it, slightly bigger line, so we get a bit more rest for the elite players, the top players at the top of the rosters. Yeah, it's going to be great.
It can sometimes cause different challenges for team management, though, when you end up with the full 28 rosters that you're permitted at kind of the major championship events. Because then it becomes a case of trying to identify ahead of the game who's not on the money for today, trying to figure out who you might rest tactically if you're in earlier stages of the tournament, making sure that the expectations you set at the beginning of the season or the beginning of the event are met in terms of pitch time and playing time.
I feel like it's probably a problem you want, though, because it gives you more optionality. You can vary things up, you can add some people, you can rest some people, see what people have got on that particular day or that particular role. So And it also means you can be loud and communicative on the sideline. The more people you have, it's very tiring going up and down, especially if it's warm like it is today, going up and down on the sideline when you're not actually playing. So, yeah, I think that is a problem that people would like to have. A bit poachy here from Germany, stopping those underneath movements.
Well, if they can close this one up here, it protects them a little bit more, having not had quite the difference in scoreline. Holstering from Dan de Marais, proper pull of his teammates towards him. De Waele now. Big fiery fakes, that one nearly taken away by the defense, but Dan de Marais just shuts the door on Wolf. Bouncy, bouncy.
Is that injury or foul? It looks as though someone was hobbling a little bit. Greenwald, who's had a really good game, just came out hobbling a little there with the disc in the air. And it looks as though he has taken a sub.
Yeah, just setting himself on the sideline. It looks like Holger Beutenmüller coming in to replace. Not a bad exchange.
No, you'll take Holger coming out as a sub. That's not too bad at all. They're just agreeing where he's going to have to start. Greenwald was a little off. So he's going to have some space over on the sideline, De Waele.
De Waele. Big around to Van der Vega. Lots of space being given underneath, unsurprisingly. That's going to be a block. Beekman's happy with the contact. So it was after the play was made. Beutenmüller boshing his way forward.
Yeah, throw's not quite wide enough from de Molinari. Gave the defender an opportunity to get into it.
And this to keep the game alive for defence for Belgium, but putting it to bed. Can Germany open, make a clean break of it to finish us off here? Huge ripper high and a big shot to finish it. Can they track it down? Dan de Marais doesn't find the space he wants and ripping it out of the sky. The big gloved hands of Stefan Doscher. Germany open, get the must win on the board, 15-13.
Yeah, great play from the D-line offense at the end there. They'd absolutely stacked it. You had Schleur, you had Beutenmüller, you had other really good players out there. You had Doscher obviously caught the goal, but they stacked that D-line, got the turn they were after. Beutenmüller with a really good play. De Molinari just not quite getting the angle of his throw right. You see it here. Tries to go around Schleur, just not quite enough width for the receiver, and Germany work it up. Bit of space, rip it deep. That's an absolutely outstanding catch. And rip it deep, and plenty of space for Doscher to really end, despite the attention of Dan de Marais.
Indeed. Well, you could see Dan de Marais wasn't in the position he wanted to be and maybe thought that shot wasn't going to come out. We had seen quite a quiet game from Kenny Marquardt up until that point, really. Of course, coming out of Hardfish. And a big shout out, he's asked us to give one to his kids, Leia and Luke. And special greetings to Mira, whoever you are. But lovely to see him ascending to the national team stage for his first German cap, playing in Michi Schulenberg's number. So that will wrap us for this open division game here. Belgium falling for the first time in the pool stages to a very talented Germany open squad. So it looks like those two will sit still at the top of the standings in pool MB, but we'll matriculate and calculate and double check ourselves. But next up on the show pitch, it's going to be Yaka versus Great British Women. We've already seen the GB women this morning. Sean, how are they looking?
They were looking quite good against the Masters team, the GB Women's Masters team, played quite well. They had a little bit of a wobble kind of the end of the first half, beginning of the second, but they did well. But they lost on Universe to the Australian under-24 women with an interesting result there. So we will see how they play against Yaka, who have looked pretty good so far.
Well, keep your eyes glued. We will see you on another stream, though. We'll be right back on the other side for the women's division.
Thank you. Thanks. Merci beaucoup.
Yeah, Ultimate.
ULTI.TV.